Thank you for joining us as we celebrate one of the truly great coaches in Fitchburg High School history. I can't tell you how impressed I am with the number of players that returned today. We've got enough to have 3 or 4 teams in play after we're done. So they're all here for Tony as we are. Can't wait to have a great day. We've been working the last 3 or 4 months closely with the Alario family and with the community to make this all happen. And people have been very generous, so much so that we're looking at starting a scholarship fund as early as next year. I think we deserve a round of applause for those people that worked on that. A couple of announcements. There will be a reception immediately following at the Marconi Club in Fitchburg. Hopefully everybody can come out. And I'd like to thank some of the people who worked with me before we go any further since we started this program. I want to thank John Cordio. I know he's out there somewhere. Timmy O'Brien, who you'll hear from later in the day. Principals DiGeronimo and Roach for their kindness in using the facility here at Fitchburg High. The Fitchburg School Committee for their unending support for this project. And a special thanks to Nathan Glennie and FATV. Our first speaker is a state representative from the 3rd Worcester District, and he has a proclamation, Mr. Michael Kushmarek.
Truly, I'm honored to be here this morning. I never had the pleasure of working with and meeting Tony, but you know, it is so rare today that you hear someone spending 35 years in the same school system that they graduated from. You know, that is the kind of legacy that every community needs. And I hope truly that this current generation is paying careful attention. That is true pride in one's community. You know, he was Fitchburg through and through. Fitchburg High graduate, Fitchburg State graduate, and 35 years of excellence in the classroom and excellence on the field. And that doesn't happen all too often. That's a once-in-a-generation kind of individual. And I think it is so critical that we take those moments like we are today to really honor great individuals in our community. And I'm thrilled to be able to do that. And so I'd like to invite Mrs. Alario up to join me at the podium. And I have a citation from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives. Be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to the family of Mr. Anthony Tony R. Alario Jr. in recognition of Tony's lifetime dedication to the students of the Fitchburg Public School System, as well as his love and passion for coaching softball, basketball, and golf over 35 years. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors to the family and to Fitchburg Public Schools. Given this first day of August 2021 at the State House in Boston, Massachusetts, and this was signed by Ronald Mariano, Speaker of the House, and offered by myself, Michael Kushmarek.
Thank you so much.
Right here. Oh, okay, all right. That's great. There you go.
It's beautiful.
With the proclamation, the Mayor of the City of Fitchburg, Steve DiNatale.
Thanks, Mike. You know, these kinds of events, you never know what kind of a turnout you're going to get. But Tony's up there looking down and really feeling proud today, and he should be. I'm seeing so many Fitchburg sports families here this morning. People that we haven't seen for quite some time, coming from out of state it's so great to see everyone here today, and I know Tony would feel that way as well. I have a proclamation from the city of Fitchburg. There's a couple of whereases here, folks, so bear with me. Whereas Tony Alario is a 1962 graduate of Fitchburg High School and was a teacher and a coach at both B.F. Brown and Fitchburg High School. And whereas he became a coach in 1974 and had a tremendous impact on the lives of many Fitchburg High School student athletes and will forever be remembered by the young men and women who proudly wore the red and gray. And whereas his girls' softball teams were always one of the top teams in not only Mid-Watch A, but also of Central Mass Division I. And as coach of both the girls' varsity softball and girls' varsity basketball teams, he won nearly 500 games. And whereas Coach Alario is a member of Fitchburg High School Hall of Fame and also the Massachusetts State Softball and Basketball Coach Hall of Fame, and whereas Fitchburg High School legendary coach Tony Alario retired in 2002 after giving so much to Fitchburg High School athletes. Now, therefore, I, Stephen L. DiNatale, by the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Fitchburg, deem it a privilege and to extend this recognition to Coach Tony Alario by dedicating the Fitchburg High School softball soccer field in his honor, and do hereby proclaim it to be named the Tony Alario Field. And I urge all citizens of Fitchburg to take cognizance of this noteworthy celebration, given this first day of August 2021 by Stephen L. DiNatale, Mayor of the City of Fitchburg. Congratulations.
You're going to take a picture?
Thank you very much, Steve. Here to talk about what life was like off the field in the Alario home. The grandson. You're right. The grandson of Tony, Sean Burke.
Good morning, early afternoon, everyone. I'm being the favorite grandchild. I was selected to speak on behalf of the Alario family, which I'm so incredibly honored to do. I can't believe the showing. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to say thank you a lot, which is, if the whole Alario family came up right now, I know there's just not enough thank yous in the world for all this that was put together. With that being said, on behalf of the Alario family, Mike Pellin, Timmy O'Brien, Representative Kuzmarek, I hope I could say that properly, Mayor DiNatale, and the school committee, thank you so much for organizing this. I think I speak on behalf of the Alario family that it wasn't until this happened, this moment, this came together, that we realized how we were so humbled by who Tony was, my grandfather, but how much he impacted so many other people. I mean, I'm just in shock right now. There's so many other words I wish I could use. And we did, outside of the field, the wrath of Tony we experienced. I think everyone experienced that at least a little bit. But he was just an incredibly passionate man, an incredible grandfather, an incredible father, an incredible everything. A animal lover, a nature lover. I could speak for hours, and I can already see him checking his watch telling me to hurry up. So thanks to the Alario-inspired creativity and instincts I got from Tony and my mother, I knew you'd like that one. I decided to write a letter from myself to Tony, as if he was still here, just thanking him for his passion. So bear with me with the emotion a little bit, but I feel like this really shows his passion that he showed to everybody. Dear Papa, I can't believe how long it's been since I was just a little kid playing in the bullpen with Bessie while you coached. Or even how long it's been since I've seen you throw your golf clubs after a bad approach shot. I miss seeing that passion you showed in just about everything you did. But since you have been gone, I realize how much I learned from that passion. Seeing your ability to lead, teach, and love has given me so much confidence. If I can build just half the passion that you displayed, I know I can accomplish my own goals, just like you taught me. There's so many people, especially players of yours, that will remember that passion forever. Even if they got the bad end of the wrath of Tony, everyone knew it was just to make them better because you believed in them. The respect you have from so many has not been forgotten. The whole family is constantly reminded by others how much you did for their lives. The family and friends miss you so much every day, but we never forget how much you did for so many. Your legacy will live on forever. After all, legends never die. Thank you for the confidence you gave me and countless others to follow your dreams and live life with passion. I hope you're proud of me, Papa, because I'm damn proud to be your grandson. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean. Our next speaker is probably the best student in the Fitchburg High School softball program. He came on the scene in 1995 and worked with Tony for 7 seasons until his retirement in 2002. Tony turned and gave the reins to Tim O'Brien, who took the team to back-to-back district championships and an appearance in the state final in his final year. Timmy is committed to doing things and doing them the right way. His discipline and work ethic followed Tony right to a T. Our next speaker, Tim O'Brien.
Thanks, Mike. Representative Kuzmarek, Mayor Dino. I can call him that because we used to drink together at the tree.
It's true.
We never got caught either. Superintendent Jackala, all invited guests, and most important, the Alario family. First and foremost, it was a pleasure for me to get involved with this, with Mike. But the most gratifying part was sitting down with the family and talking about Tony and what we did and how sometimes he was gruff. Sometimes he knew that people could handle his language and sometimes he knew that they couldn't. But it was just gratifying to be around the family, and I thank you for that. This started for me in 1995, and I see Karen Lafreniere out here, and just from my perspective as a coach, probably the best female athlete that I was ever around. But in 1995, at Wachusett, my daughter Tara was a sophomore at Wachusett, and Tony's coaching. He's getting a little rough with the umpire. So I'm sitting there, I'm going, oh no. So I knew Tony like a book because we were talking softball and how Tara could improve and things of that nature. And a couple more pitches go by, and he's getting a little rougher with the umpire. Well, he got a little bit too rough, and he got this. He got the heave-ho. So he turns around. I'm standing up there. He turns around, and he points. He goes, you. He just said that, you. And I turned like this. I said, you mean me? He said, yeah, get down here. So I went down and coached the team. And actually, we won the game. That's how I was introduced to Tony, and it was a great marriage. Yeah, lucky me. It was a great marriage from that day forward. It really was. Spent 7 years with him, and we had a great time. We had a lot of good female athletes, obviously, playing softball, and it was just a lot of fun to be around Tony. And I will get a little redundant sometimes with what I've said before, but this whole process started because as a young boy, my parents instilled in me, Timmy, sometimes in life you have to do the right thing. This is unequivocally the right thing to do. He deserves this. And I got to tell you one more little quip too, which is just a game. We're playing, I don't know if you were still on the team, Karen, but we were in Milford. I think you might have graduated. We were in Milford. And everybody knows Tony. Tony coached. And he always told me with the signals, Tim, keep it simple, stupid. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So he had the rags. He had the rags. One was blue, one was yellow, one was green, one was blue, one was gray. So we go over the signals. So if he pulled out the red flag and touched his belt, it was a bunt. So I'm coaching first base, and we got the situation. We got a base hit. and he gives the bunt signal. It gets ignored for the first one. So he turns around, he does his two-step back, and I said, oh, boy, here it comes. He gave the same signal to bunt. It got ignored the second time. That was enough. Took the two steps around, turned around, and said, I don't care if the whole town of Milford knows you're bunting. Do your job. Ooh. Wow. So Bill Belichick has nothing on Tony Alario. He started that phrase, do your job. But I want to thank you all for showing up. And like I said, for me personally, extremely gratifying to know that my good friend is having this. Thank you.
Thank you, Obi. I can't leave here today without sharing a story with you. We talk about Tony, 500 wins in 2 sports, district appearances, state championships, but there was another Tony. I went back to 1997-98 when I was working at the old high school on Academy Street. It was late in the day and there was a knock at my office door. I went to the door and it was Doug Grutchfield and Tony Alario. So it meant put everything down that you're doing, Mike, because they've got something to talk about. And it was about this piece of property. They had plans for the property for a combination softball and soccer and tennis, but Tony was going to design the softball field. And all of you that played for him, I knew he was serious when he came in the office because he had the hat on, there were pencils going in here, out here, notes, and whatever else lived up on top of that hat. I don't know. But the thing he was proudest of was that Doug turned this area right behind me over to Tony. He had to find 200 feet to move around. He didn't have a lot of room back here, and if you go beyond that fence, you go off a cliff. He had notes on a paper that, of course, was attached by white athletic tape that he put up on my wall. And he was pointing to numbers with drainage and letters. I had no clue. But the thing that he was proudest most of, and I can't go in this field and out of that dugout, was what happened over in the third base dugout. That was going to be Fitchburg's dugout. He had it all planned. There was more room over here. Nothing like taking the visitor and sticking him on the edge, but that's what it was. And he wanted to be able to turn in the dugout and walk into that batting cage area, sending hitters in there to prepare for a pinch hitting role and to get ready for the next inning. It was unique. Nobody else had anything like this. But to think that with all the things that we talk about with Tony, the multiple talents that he had, special things, carving models for players, giving gifts to people, there really was 2 Tonys. I saw them both. The first one was tough, but it was perfect. It was good. Our next speaker really had a similar situation as Tony when he came to Fitchburg High. Tony was asked to pioneer the softball program and the basketball program, and he got him through the 70s, and he began to build up powerhouses in the 80s and 90s. Much like our next guest, who was asked to come to Fitchburg High to turn around a fledgling football program and to bring respect back to baseball in the district tournament. He's a great friend. I'm glad he's here to speak this morning. Ray Cosenza.
First of all, I want to thank Tim for taking my entire speech. Yeah. I would like to first of all congratulate the Alario family. This is such an awesome day, and as someone who's coached a lot, I know that your family has to make a lot of sacrifices while you're coaching. And I know Tony is up top saying, I am sharing this with my family for all the sacrifices they made for the time I spent coaching. So congratulations. I'd also like to thank Mike Pellin, Timmy O'Brien, Tara Sweeney, Sean Sweeney, and the school department for making this happen and bringing it to fruition. It is such an awesome honor that will live on for years and years in Tony's memory, and I think it's just a great thing. Now, when I started at Fitchburg High School, it was in my first year. I was teaching phys ed and working in the old brickyard, and we had a small office right off of it. My first day, I was very nervous. I went in, I got there early, and I sat in the office. And I knew that I was taking on a position, and I was working with coaching giants like Doug Crutchfield, Ed Gastengay, and Tony Alario. And true story, the first person who came up to the office was Tony. He came up, he introduced himself, and he welcomed me to Fitchburg High School. And that meant so much to me. And that's what he was, and I heard some stories from Mike, because, Mike and I were at St. Bernard's together. But that I learned that's what Tony, who he was. He was always there to help people, and he made my first day so much less stressful, I can't tell you. And there were times that when I needed to have a little pat on the back, he seemed to always be there. That same year, and this is a true story, we struggled against Leominster on Thanksgiving, and we got whooped. And I was really down. I was questioning the job that we did coaching and the job that I did preparing the team. And I was in the office again the Monday after, and who comes up? Tony. And he said, "Ray, that was a tough game, but I'm telling you, kids never quit. And you're going in the right direction. Keep doing what you're doing." And I can't tell you what things like that meant to me back then. It really was special. And I always appreciated that. Now, in my 40 years of coaching, women's sports have come a long way, obviously, and it's about time. But Tony was way ahead of his time, and I mean this sincerely. When I first started coaching in the 80s, women's sports weren't taken seriously, and the girls weren't coached correctly, I felt. They weren't handled like male athletes were. And like I said, Tony was ahead of his time. He didn't coach his team as girls. He coached them as athletes. And I'll bet you every one of the girls up there appreciated that. They weren't babied. And it was because he had high expectations, not only for the sport, but for what it would do for them later on. He made things tough on them, so the games came easy. I used to love to go to the Brickyard and watch our girls play basketball. They would get in that press, and they were relentless. And that just never happened. And Tony was a type, he didn't like to run up the scores, so he'd tell the girls to back up. Well, the girls would back up, but they were still relentless. And they would still steal the ball, but it was something to see. And that's how he coached. And that was what made him so special in my eyes. And I'm sure in his players' eyes. And the last thing I'll say is he never wanted any attention. He always wanted the attention to go to his players. So I would listen to him, or I'd read the paper after, and he would always give credit to his players. He'd give credit to the opposing teams. And that's just who he was. And his job and his mind was to prepare them later on in life. And I think the way he coached did just that. I love being a colleague of his, and today is a very special day and well-deserved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. Our next speaker has a rather lengthy bio, so bear with me. Tara Sweeney was a member of the class and a graduate of the class of 1991 here at Fitchburg High School. She received the General Excellence Award, which is the highest honor given to a student here at Fitchburg High. She moved on and received a nomination from Senator Kennedy to go down to out to the Air Force Academy in Colorado. While there, she really was recruited as a basketball player, but they got a look at her playing softball. Not only did she make the team, she started for 4 straight seasons. She was given an Olympic team tryout invitation, but because of her duty to the service, she was unable to keep that commitment. She currently is living in El Paso, Texas, but when I called and I asked if she could speak, she said, "I'm there, Coach. If it's for Coach, I am there." She currently is pursuing her doctoral degree in lunar geology at the University of Texas, El Paso. I wouldn't be surprised, people, if I'd be watching TV someday in the future, she would be walking across the moon on my television set. Tara Sweeney.
I'll just start by saying I like how he thinks. So if you're seeing me on the lunar surface someday, we'll say thanks, Coach Pellin. And instead of ripping up my speech, I'm going to say thank you so much for playing into my speech and remarks that the girls who are part of Tony's family all kind of helped me write. So I'll say bear with me if I get a little bit emotional already, if you can tell. So it is absolutely such a gift to be with all of you today, and the turnout is just absolutely spectacular. Thank you for being here to honor our coach. It certainly does mean so much to all of us girls who walked in his path that we can have such an honor to be bestowed upon him and his family and everyone who loved and adored him. Whether you are here in person or watching from afar, you likely know that Coach was both a talented student of softball and basketball, and he poured, Sean, instead of wrath, I'm going to say passion, excitement, and enthusiasm into absolutely every practice and every game that we participated in. He was a master of player statistics, and he was always extraordinarily well prepared for every single contest. He expected his players to absolutely demonstrate a commitment to excellence as soon as we walked on that field or walked onto that court. Because at his core, he just inherently knew the talent of the players that were in his midst. And he challenged us and he pushed us to know it for ourselves and for each other so that we could achieve together. We worked really hard for Coach. Oftentimes, our drive was absolutely apparent, and he expressed his utter admiration for us as we ticked off wins, records, trophies, awards for our school with easy grace. And then sometimes, however, we'd make an error, or miss a sign, or even drop a ball, and he'd be sure to let us know his grandmother could have done that better. And to this day, we all would love to meet his grandmother because she must have been a wicked awesome athlete. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, and admittedly as equally intense young athletes can do sometimes, we would muster up the courage to come back and banter with him. But be assured that our bravery was only because we were talking into his deaf ear. And that gave us a lot of comfort. And Coach Brazili would just look at us and shake his head as if to say, you're only getting away with that because of on what side you're talking to him. And we'd know. We'd say we know. Speaking of, Coach had some really awesome assistants while he was here at Fitchburg High School. When many of us played that are here today, we had Danny Brazili by his side. And they were a wicked awesome, well-orchestrated, very balanced team. And they were like our two dads. That's unusual.
Exclamation point.
Yeah, thank you. They were like our two dads. One listened to our hearts, and one really kept our nose to the grindstones. They played the role so perfectly because they always presented such a united front with one another, and they just knew us because of that partnership. They knew who we were, and that just strengthened all of the camaraderie that we experienced as a team. I'll say we actually, in preparing for today and all of the reminiscing we've done, we actually don't know how he was actually as patient with us as he did demonstrate to all of us at different points in our lives. Because we were, after all, teenage girls, and we brought along all of the challenges that those years naturally provide to us. We were young women. We were empowered by the maturation of Title IX, and we were absolutely ready to go out and take on the world in our each unique ways. We all agree that the one thing we know for sure is that he loved us so very much. And his family, you all, let us occupy so much of your life. Because we know how much he talked about us, how much time he gave to us, and probably all the stories that you had to endure. So thank you so much for letting us share in who he was. I would say that whenever I would see him or talk to him after I graduated from Fitchburg High, he would always ask how his girls are. And would you please tell them that I said hello? So for all of that on-field intensity, and there was a lot of that, we knew him as a softie. He was a softie through and through. He let his love show for all of us. And I really feel like he gave us two different gifts that transcend every field and every floor that we played on together. Coach turned all of us girls into confident, capable, and empowered women who were ready to take on lives post our Fitchburg High School careers. And more importantly, his teams of girls, he turned his teams of girls into generations of the same family. And to this day, we are sisters for life. To say both of these gifts have served us well would be an understatement. We've endured the difficult passing of our coaches, our teammates, our family members. And we've helped each other navigate the challenges that none of us could have imagined in our youth, but Coach helped us prepare for. We've applauded, celebrated, and uplifted each other as we reach for the stars. That's Coach's legacy. As the wins, the losses, the statistics, the well-conceived plays fade away, it is the love that he created within each of us that endures. That's our Coach's legacy. And so we are always grateful to be Tony's girls. Thank you so much for bestowing this incredible honor on Coach, his family, his friends, and all of us FHS teammates. And thank you for creating this beautiful day for all of us. I'll close with all hail to the red and gray, and go Red Raiders. And for the teammates in the crowd, Marcy Noguera has said that we're all going to line up at home plate and start running the bases after we're done. So
That's why we line the field. At this time, I'm going to ask if you have cameras, you want to get to this area where we're going to reveal the field name in memory of Tony. We'll do that now. So Chris and the family, please stand. Again, if you're looking to take pictures and you want to slide over, let me know. All right, here we go. Go ahead.